Have you ever traveled out of the country for more than a month and been immersed in another culture? Well, if you're wondering what's that like or interested in doing that, I'm going to tell you about my experience today. So, this past summer, I was blessed to go to Guatemala for a month and be immersed in the culture and learn their language a little bit more and volunteer there. And first, I'll start off with some history of Guatemala. So, the city was founded, it's a Central American country that was founded in 1527. And the first capital city was Ciudad Vieja, which was actually one of the places I worked while I was there. And it ended up being destroyed by earthquakes a long, long time ago. So it moved to Antigua, which was where I lived for a month. And then it was moved to Guatemala City, which is where I stayed for a weekend. Guatemala City is a huge, basically they're New York. A bunch of malls, a bunch of shopping, all that good stuff. And that's basically a lot of their history. And then their cultural aspects, most of them are mestizos. Coffee is like a huge economic thing there. Farmers markets are how a lot of people make their money. You walk around, and a lot of artisan markets. People have made these things with their hands, and they're really beautiful. And so I was blessed to work on a coffee farm. So this picture here is how they grow the coffee. It's on a volcano. So it's the soil makes it like a lot better, and the coffee was incredible. I didn't like coffee before I went, and coming home, I loved coffee. And the people in Guatemala were just incredibly nice and really understanding of how I didn't know the language. And I've grown up in a Mexican home, so I kind of knew the language, and it was coming back to me from when I was younger. So I was able to have conversations and really talk with them and get to know them better. And I took Spanish classes while I was there. And just being out of the country on my own. I turned 18 the day I got there, and being out of the country was weird, and I was super scared about the culture and the people, but they're super nice and loved on me really well over there. And then some popular tourist attractions there. There's a lot to do. So my first weekend there, I summited a volcano called Volcan Acatenango, and it's where these people are camping is that volcano, and you can see a volcano across the way. And the elevation is 13,045 feet. It's pretty high up. It's not a 14er, but it's pretty high. And it was a super hard hike. We got there, and it's just obviously uphill the whole entire way, but steep. And started to rain, which was miserable and cold, and we had to get the tents up and all that. And we woke up the next morning, and it was incredible. The volcano next to us was erupting. So a bunch of cool pictures of that, and one of my favorite memories of the whole entire trip. The hike down was pretty easy, super fun. Did it with a lot of new people that I didn't know, and I loved it. And then the next weekend, I went to Lake Atitlan, which is the first line on here, and it's a huge lake surrounded by volcanoes. And we got there, and we were like, what if we stayed in an Airbnb, just with all the people we're with? So when I was in Guatemala, I stayed in a volunteer home, so that's who I would travel with. And we rented out this Airbnb and got to stay in it, and it was built into the side of a mountain. So there was rock in the house, and it was super cool. The lake was incredible, great views, and that was one of my favorite weekends. And then the next weekend I went to El Paradon, which is not somewhere a lot of people go. It's a black sand beach with bioluminescent water. And we stayed at this hostel called the Driftwood Surfer with just a bunch of random people. It was super fun. We just hung out on the beach, surfed a little bit, got in the water. They have hammocks on the beach laying out, so super cool. That was a very relaxing weekend. And being immersed in that culture over there, their beach culture down in Central America is different than in the U.S. And basically, if you're interested in traveling out of the country for a long period of time or studying abroad, I would highly recommend it because it's one of the coolest things I've ever done. And I loved every second of it. Learning a new language, being immersed in culture, there's just so much to learn from that and from other people and how they live and how you respect the things they do. Working on a coffee farm there, people, that is how they make their daily life, is literally sorting beans, which is the most boring thing I've ever done, but you come to appreciate these people and their work so much more. And if you want to talk to me, anyone wants to talk to me about it, I would love to talk to you about it and where to go and how to get in contact with these people to go to these places. That's it. Thank you.